Good evening, good evening, everybody. It is 7:30 and it is Friday, the 13th of September. And I know that I've kind of been absent on these social media streets as of late. Would you believe I felt like I still needed to recuperate from the African American Cultural Festival, not last weekend, but the week before? I don't know, my recovery time has to improve. Hey, Dr. Powell, but we are here tonight as scheduled, as planned, no internet interruptions or issues like last week. We are about to do it. I am excited that you are here, and I'm excited to show you what Yolanda showed me. With a couple of modifications for teaching purposes and optimum creativity on all parties involved behalf. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Deandra. Hey, Judy. And you know what? I called you Tanya. I meant Dr. Powell. You got to correct me when I make that mistake, Dr. Powell. Because I got to use your official legitimate status, because it's just really cool. Um, but we're going to get right into it. And if we have time, I will do the top that I was supposed to teach last week before we had those service interruptions in I think it was in the tri-state area. But pretty much, this is the model that we're using. Hey, hey, hey. And so what I want to show you is what I did last week prior to class. Because this is the top, the no-sew top. Y'all see it's folded in all the right places. Hey, Giovanna. And, glued in the right spaces and places. I know, right? Exactly. And so I was so proud of this top. And if y'all understand, I was really, really proud of this top because I had gotten it all right before class. Me and Yolanda had did a whole bunch of FaceTime, making sure that I got it right. And then the infamous issue with Optimum happened last week. But anyway, so this week we are doing the no-sew skirt. Now, if y'all have seen the pictures, this is what it looks like. And then we got a cute little belt. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do all of the things to get to that point. So y'all know, or maybe you don't know. So anybody who has Yolanda uses paper plates. I actually have these rings for loom knitting that were, to me, perfect circles. I have them in like a bunch of different sizes. I have that one. I think that's the medium one. I have this one that's even larger. And then I also have this one that's really, really small. And these are the things that I'll be using as measuring tools for the amount of skirt that we're going to work with. Now, because of her size, I'm going to use like the medium one. But depending on... Really? Anybody else having issues hearing me? Let me make sure my sound is up. Are you... Good evening. Does everybody hear me all right? I thought I was speaking loud. Really? Okay. So basically, depending on what size design you're working with, you might need bigger or smaller hoops as your foundation. And you don't necessarily have to use hoops. I think Yolanda has used paper plates. You just want something that'll make a nice big circle. Because of... I sound far away? I don't know, because my face is like right at the iPad. I've moved it up. But I can't remember which size hoop I used for the skirt that I made. Let me see. I think it's the orange one. I think I used the orange one. But pretty much, can you all see though? Let me know if you can actually see. Oh, I did use the bigger one. How about that? Okay, so I'm going to use the bigger one again. Hey, Coletta. So I'm going to use the bigger one. Now, if you have like a little My Pretty Brown doll, then you could probably use like And where's my measuring tape? Because I can actually tell you the actual measurements of the circles or the circumference. So basically, this is the fabric that we're going to be using. This is the right side. The right side has the metallic aspect to it. Yes, the plate is going to determine the length of your skirt and the width, the length and the width. I'm going to be working on the wrong side initially because I'm going to use a marker to mark what I want. Now, here's the other thing. I could use the inside of the hoop or I could use the outside of the hoop. I think I'm going to use the outside of the hoop. And so I'm also looking at the pattern, right? So you see I have this kind of pattern, but I do want both to be kind of in the skirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a way where I get a nice good amount of both of the patterns. Exactly. So if you want a really long, wide skirt, you're going to need a wider circle. Okay? But for now, I'm going to do a half and half type of situation where I want like maybe half to be the brownish gold and half to be the green. And I'm going to take my marker. I have this, probably not the right color. And I'm going to basically trace my circle. So let's go. And you probably want to use a marker that you'll be able to see what you're doing. You don't want to use something that'll be hard to see on your fabric. I'm actually playing with fire right now by using this because it is a little bit difficult to see. You could actually use a fabric marker. Those are actually better. That's what smart people use, fabric markers. I mean, not fabric markers. You know that the sewer, that seamstresses use. Ooh, okay. Yeah. So I can kind of see my circle. This is gonna be big. Where my scissors at? And I'm just gonna cut along. Hey, Katrina. I'm gonna cut along where I put that circle. You know, it's not a. There's actually a way to get a good circle without even having to do this. It's a folding technique. You can look it up on YouTube. But yeah, it's actually really interesting. But I find it too much work to get the exact measurements of things. Boom. We made it! Okay, now a cool thing to also do would be to iron your fabric. It makes it for a better, neater, more clean, kind of flattened, distinguishable size. Again, got your good old circle, right? And it's pretty much the same size as the one that I had. Wow. Okay. So you got your circle, and this was when I was, when Yolanda was showing me, right? So what Yolanda does, and you can do as well, is you basically fold the skirt in half, however you want the print to look. Now this is the right side. Look at how pretty that is. Like if you want to do it in half, where this is kind of like the front, or you want to kind of do it where like it doesn't really matter. But what you do is you fold it in front, and then you kind of measure what her waist is. Now here's the trick. This is a curvy doll. So what happens is For her, this wouldn't be a true proper measurement, because if I cut it this small, I still got to squeeze these hips in here, right? So I probably want it to be somewhere along the lines of where I gotta squeeze them, but not so much that the dress will start flopping off of her because of that. So, interesting fact. So, if you want it to be like a perfect circle where it's all nice and neat and all around is even, that's fine, right? But if you want an asymmetrical skirt, instead of your circle for the body to fit in being in the middle, you would have your circle off to the side. So if you wanted it to just be perfectly in the middle, then you would put the hole for the body in the middle. But if you kind of want it to be asymmetrical, where maybe you want the front to be a little bit like if you want it to be a high-low skirt, what you do is you put your opening for the body a little off to the side or wherever, right? Because I already have a symmetrical skirt, right, just by cutting in the middle, I already have that for her. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to have it slightly off to the side. So again, I'm going to be working from like this midpoint. So this would be like the middle, but I kind of want it to be like a little shorter in the front. Now let me see, because what Yolanda does is she doesn't fold it all the way. So like in the middle, you cut the whole, however long you need it to be, right? And basically the math for that is whatever the hips are, right? Whatever the measurement that is, flat, that's what you would measure here. So where's my measuring tape? If I measured her hips to be about 4 inches, I doubt that they're even that big. Where's my measuring tape? It's usually here, just hanging out. Because believe it or not, I swear by my measuring tape. It's always around. I got so much work happening. 1 second. Does anybody have any questions in the meantime while I try to retrieve this measuring tape that I just had? Because I was using it for something else. Oh, before I even go through all of that, I always keep a spare measuring tape. Anybody have any questions? Anyone? Anything that's not quite clear? Okay. So here's my little busted measuring tape. See? So her hips are about, probably about 4 inches, right? Let's say 4.5 inches. Basically, our hole would be about 4.5 inches, maybe a little bit less because you do want the skirt to kind of fit. So you would take your marker if you were doing the skirt, and this is the right side, so make sure you're on the wrong side. When you're working on the right side, you want to do all of your things on the wrong side so as to not damage the piece. But you would take your marker and you would pretty much just mark how you want your space to be, and you would just put a little tick, like right there. That's like a little bit over 4. Boom. Right? That's if I was making it. Awesome. Okay, but I'm gonna do a little asymmetrical thing, and because I already have a little circle, I'm just gonna use this, which is actually a little bit easier than doing that, right? Because just as simple as it was to mark what you were trying to do, remember this is the middle. But when we're working with doll clothes and doll things, millimeters matter, centimeters matter. So we don't want to move whole inches, because what happens is if I put this too far over, the front of this skirt will be way too high, and then her goods will be all out in the streets, and we don't want her goods in the street. We want her high-low to be high in the front, but not so high that her, that she look like she's selling stuff. So we want to be careful about that. And so another way to use your measuring tape is to also figure out how much you want to be in the front. So again, from where we're working, let's say we're working from here. So then we want our opening to maybe be about 3 inches from, yeah, let's say about 3 inches or so from, it's not even a whole 3 inches. Let's say 2.5, say 2.25, and 2 3/4 from the opening. So the way we do that is that we pretty much from where the edge is, we just, we about to do a little bit of math, a little bit, and we just say, okay, so her opening has to be somewhere around here, right? So if her opening is going to be somewhere around there, then what we're going to do is we're going to take our circle and we're going to kind of put it like boom, like right there. So it still kind of looks like it's centered, but it's not. Okay? And so, and you know what? I'm going to move it a little bit further, because that's the mark. Move it like right there. And then I'm going to use the darker marker to, because this silver is not going to show up at all. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this in place, and I'm going to cut another circle. And I'm using the outside of the circle. Now, if you have a smaller doll design, you probably might want to use the inside. It's kind of cool to have a circle with the opening because you have the option of working inside the circle or outside the circle. I don't like loom knitting. My sister gave it to me, and I thought that I was going to loom knit some things. This was before I learned to knit. But then I was like, no, this is whack. So I didn't. But who says that these things did not come in handy? So now what I'm going to do, because now I got this guideline, right? I'm just going to, just to get in there, I'm just going to snip just so that I can get in there, because boom, right? And then I'm just going to, can y'all see? I'm just going to do what it do. Follow the circle. And I'm going to cut. I don't know. Trying to remember where that marker is, see where that marker is, because this has black in it, so it's a little bit hard to follow. And just a tip, when your fabric is ironed, it's much easier to maneuver too. Boom. You know, we could probably use this for something else. We'll figure it out. But boom, here we go. Here we go. Look at that. Oh, snap. Okay. And so now this is the right side because it has all the cool metallicness of it. Right? And we're going to just slide it on. Now that hole is too big because I probably should have used the inside and just squeezed her in. But that's why we got to sometimes operate with measuring tape. Now what you can do is, because that hole is too big, probably should have used the inside, but I just felt like the inside was too small because I went to try to do this and it was too small. But I should have thought that I could have done it with the fabric and just squeezed her into it, but I didn't want her to be like how we be when our pants are too small, trying to get in stuff too small. But I would rather it be too big than too small, because what you can do when you have like a little bit of extra is you can create like a little ruffling kind of thing. And I was laughing because I kind of did the same thing with the skirt, and I was like, oh, you could take some thread, and Yolanda yelled at me and said, this is no sew. And I said, oh snap, you right. So what I did was I took my what is it, where are they, my straight pins, like a G, and you know, you kind of pinch it a little bit. This is just for the moment, right? One side, and then you do the same with the other side. Can y'all see her hand ain't in the way? Okay, I'm gonna need you to protest, girl. She's just gonna be mad because I made her skirt too big, the opening. She's still cute though. And we get another straight pin. She got attitude, but she'll be all right. Right? Now, look at that. That's cute. Now, what you can do, because this is no sew, and this is how we do, what you can actually do is you can fabric glue this. And matter of fact, I think I will, because I really like the way this is looking. Let me just make sure. And then what Yolanda has done really cool, and again, iron fabric is the best. If this were ironed, you'd get to see how cool it is all straight. But what I always do is the rough ends. The rough ends, you kind of just fold inward. Those are going to be the parts that we're not going to show off, we're not going to see. Right? And again, I'm going to have them pinned just for now because, you know, teaching purposes. But I'm going to glue those because I actually like... Oh, she not mad? I think she's not mad anymore because I fixed the problem. All right, but I need your hands to be out the way, girl. You're in the way. Okay. And then you take a nice long strip and you tie it all cute and neat and whatnot. Boom. Give it a nice little tie. And how cute is that? High low for the people. High low for the people. How cute is that? Now the fraying, you can manage that with a little bit of folding and fabric gluing. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix the fact that I made her opening too big. So how I'm going to do that, I got my fabric glue. You got your fabric glue. And I think it's better to make the opening too big than the opening too small, because trying to fix it when it's too small is actually a little bit harder, because then you have to be careful, because like I said before, millimeters do make a difference. So with this being like this, I'm just going to keep the pin right there, because again, I don't want it to be too tight that it can't go back on her, right? So we're just going to slide it off, because it still needs to slide off. And I don't want to lose the place of where the needles are. See, it's going to try to come out on me. Because she got a lot of hips. Okay. Boom. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pinch right here. Just a little pinch. Right, you see that? Just a little pinch. Same thing right here. Now, just the same technique as with the top. I use binder clips because my clothespins were getting caught up in the fabric glue and it was annoying me. And I was just like, you know what? Y'all want to act like y'all don't know what you're doing? I'm not going to use y'all. So I'm going to use binder clips. And so basically, you see how I have this like here? I'm going to just put some glue there. Fabric glue. Like a G, because that's how we do. Can y'all see? And this is just to create like a little pinch. Don't worry about the straight pins. Because once I got the glue in place, I'm going to take the straight pin out. And I'm going to just use a binder clip. Boom. Like a G. You don't need a whole bunch. Just a little bit. Right. You can use the half moon technique, like the creator of this instructed. And they both work. I just like, you know, my circle to actually look like a circle. If I do it on a half moon joint, it doesn't come out like a half moon and it annoys me. That's just my own anal silliness. It comes out a little wonky to me, for me. Maybe matter of fact, the half moon might work better for some of you all. So I'm going to just put a little bit, and there's another fold here that I kind of want to put a little bit. And guess what? The cool thing about this is you've actually made like a gathering without using thread. Now, funny thing is, I know this is no sew, but there are little minimal sewing things that you can do that will also be really, really cute and cool. One of the things that I think is really important is that you have options of ways to do things, because one of the things that me and Yolanda are really excited about is how sometimes we do the same thing, but we have such interesting perspectives on how we get to the same end that makes it fun and exciting. I don't trust it because it be looking all weird and stuff. Like it doesn't work out the same way for me. So boom, we're just gonna have those pinches there. And guess what else? Like Yolanda has, you know, you keep your nice little strip and you be good. But so that is how you get your skirt. And depending on where you put your opening, you have an a high-low skirt. So now, as promised, because, you know, how much of this is an epiphany for you all? Yeah, so it's 8 o'clock. Look at that. That didn't even take a whole half an hour. So that means, you know what that means? That means we have time to do what Optimum would not allow me to do last week. So last week, boom, here it is. This is where I stopped. This is where we got cut off. So last week, I was trying to explain how I do the shirt that Yolanda had taught y'all how to do and taught me how to do, but I do it with measuring tape. Here's the half moon. Part of why I be looking at my half moon like, F this half moon, because this is what the half moon looks like to me, and it's just like, it's a little annoying. It looks a little jagged. I don't know, but I'm extra, so forgive me. You don't got to be like that. You could be better. So, what I was saying, oh, wait a minute. With the pink with little straps? I thought I was, oh, okay. You know what? All right, fine. I'll do that. My fault. Okay. Oh, right. So the other thing that I did, because the first time Yolanda had showed me how to do it, I was being all defiant and not listening. And I did something completely different. And I was made fun of because it did not come out the way she had explained it. But in my defense, she does things so whimsically that it is hard for somebody who has a whimsical way of thinking to interpret what she's saying. So in my mind, while she was saying one thing, I was thinking something else, and what I was thinking came out to be something completely different, and I was laughed at horribly, because both her and LaShonda just thought it was the funniest thing. But I was like, the joke's on you, because I came up with something cool that I could still use, whatever. But the bottom line was, while this piece was not a great skirt, it was actually a really good shirt. And so what I did was, and it's all wrinkled up and whatnot now, but I was like, oh, you know what? This makes a really cute shirt or top. So I had to squeeze it up a little bit. Squeeze it. Right? Look, her tush. She's trying to squeeze in stuff that might not necessarily fit too well. But right? And so what happens is, it wasn't the greatest skirt, but when I put it on like a top, because you know the curvy girl has boobs if you've taken the curvy class, pattern also by Yolanda Jordan of My Pretty Brown Doll. Boom. And it's a little wrinkled, but it actually made a really cute top. Now I did have a little bit of room, right? And I was like, you know what though? If you want to, because we don't sew in here, because it's no sew, what you can do is you can actually, from the materials that you're using, you can actually make straps. And here's a funny thing about fabric. I don't know how many people know, but fabric a lot of times has a space or a way to cut it without having to cut all of it. And I can't remember. But just so you know, this no sew is actually a precursor. Exactly. This is a precursor for if you want to eventually venture out into sewing. Because what you can do is you can actually sew these pieces together if you feel brave enough. If you don't feel like how I feel, which is intimidation by the sewing machine, you can actually just cut these pieces out, and instead of gluing them together, you can sew them together. Sewing is not really so bad. It's just intimidating to me because I'm a perfectionist and I don't have the time to do things in the way that I would like to do them. And so when I can't dedicate the time that I want, I say F it for a little while. Hence why I have the knitting loom things and not the never actually use them. So again, pointing the frayed parts inward, right? What you can then do is you can, with a little bit of fabric glue and some attention, you can kind of glue that, right? And depending on how long you make this, you can tie it. I actually have, okay, it is not within reach, and I'll have to add this in later. But one of the things that both Yolanda and I discussed about what makes this particular aspect of thing really cool is that she didn't put it on the supply list because it's optional. But I have what's called the snapping tool. How many of you have seen these things? And again, I don't have the actual tool here. Crap, of course. I don't have the tool here with me because I didn't actually anticipate this aspect But has anybody ever seen these? Do you all know what these are? And y'all know how much I hate when things go in places they don't belong. But, so, I have a Babyville. Oh, crap. Right. So, in trying to get one pink one out, I just... Let me stop before I do something I'll regret. Pink one went all the way down to the bottom, and then these pointy things are poking the crap out of me. Oh, she was talking about spaghetti straps. No, I was talking about a halter. So boom, this is what happens. This is why this is why she shows me things. But you know what's so funny? I say the exact same thing about her. I be like, look, this how you do such and such and such. She come back, she got something going on. But I be like, nope, that's not what I said. That's not what I showed you. I don't know who taught you that, but okay. Mind you, it works. But that's not what I had said. No, that's not what I told you. But, listen, the mind works the way the mind works. So, for those of you who doesn't know what these are, I don't have the tool within reach, and if I were to go and get it, it would totally mess up my camera angle. Everything would fall down. This would look horrible for someone who is taking this class for the first time. I want you to know that we are confident creatives, and sometimes things be a little janky. So, but this is what I was thinking. And I don't think it's way left. It's still in the same vein. But I think what she was saying was just taking pieces and making straps, whatever. I was like, ooh, this would be a cute halter top. Boom, you just tag it here with some glue. Let it stay. And then if you make it long enough, you can tie it. But you don't really always want tie. Maybe you want to put a snap there. Boom, boom. That's it. And then you done. Look at that. That's cute. Like, stop bad mouthing my mind. I don't bad mouth the way yours work. But, okay. But I don't, okay, whatever. Like, the spaghetti straps are really, really thin on such a small, tiny design. I was just trying to, okay, whatever. Anybody got any questions? You see how she do me? Does anybody have any questions? The main objective, though, is to give you all a variation of ways in which you can do something epic. Okay, I think that we've given y'all quite a few options that you can mix and match, and even through making mistakes sometimes, develop something that maybe the designer hadn't intended. Yes, all right. You know what? All right, fine. So that was the point. She wanted y'all to see that you can make the top, the skirt a top. Okay, gosh, I'm just saying though, these things, they're really cool. If you don't intend on like committing to trying to sew, you could put snaps on a thing. So if you have the snap tool where you can put the snaps onto things, the possibilities now become a little bit more broad of what you can do. Because my designs had their heads on already, I had to create a slit down the middle of mine so that she can get in and out of it without messing up the whole thing. I didn't want the whole thing to be open in the back, because then it's like, it sucks trying to manipulate and maneuver it. But either way, does anybody have any questions? Unbelievable. I can't with this chick. See how she treat me, y'all? And so this is how you get it off, and you can squeeze it a little bit to get the hips, over it if you're working with a design that's a little bit more hippie. But keep in mind that this technique works with all different doll sizes. You don't have to have a smaller design. It could be a bigger design. I didn't have any naked designs that I could use for an example for my kind of thing. But when I do and use this technique, I'll definitely add more to this course. But I think, is there anything else that I should add? Is there anything else that maybe you want to see or know? Let me know. Because we got time, y'all. It's Friday. We kicking it. And I did not expect this to be as quick as it was. And Yolanda said it was. That's why I was like, I could do my shirt that I was going to do. But she was all like, no. And I mean, I guess she did do it already. So unless y'all want to, let me know. Because it's 12 of y'all in here. Hey, doing? We can get it popping. We got another half hour. Oh, and she'll be at a wow. Okay, so y'all about to get like the whole, what they call it, the whole enchilada. Did we do head wraps? Nah, head wraps weren't a part of this, but head wraps are easy. No, I can just show you right now. This has been on her head for like since what year was that? 2017 maybe. But it's just a scrap piece of fabric. That's why it's the only, like, I don't even have any more of this fabric. This was just really weird scrap fabric. It just happened to be this shape. You see all the frame. But basically, look, her head all funny shape. But basically, head wrapping is nothing but like a strip or a piece of fabric. If you have it to wear, it's like a little, scarf almost. Basically, and we do it different ways, I'm sure, because Yolanda does her thing in a different manner. I do more of like I don't know, but it's really just pretty much tie and I think I might have shown one way of how I do it in my my African American Cultural Festival doll workshop. But basically, once you got a little knot, then you kind of twist and tuck. I mean, and of course you want to maybe center it. You don't want it to be too off to any one side. And then what I do is I kind of tug on the other one and I kind of twist and go in the other direction. We all do it differently. And that's one of the things I think that myself and Yolanda are really, really good at. Recognizing that we both have very, very interesting perspectives to offer in the same field of creativity. And I think that that's really important that we understand that about one another. Now, you see it's slightly off to the side. That's not a big deal. You can always fix that or adjust that. As a matter of fact, I could probably just slide it over, right? Boom. She good. But when you operate that way, I think that it's important that you respect that about each other too. We joke and we make, we tease each other about it. But we definitely respect that about each other, that while we're both in the same field of creativity, we still have very different ways in which we see things. And it allows us to work together and individually. And so for all of you who are also designers or creatives in any aspect of that, I think that it's important that you handle your people that way. You handle each other that way, because there is just so much room for everybody. There's so much room for us all to be successful in our own right. And there's a lot of conversations that kind of make you, or geared towards making you feel like we compete with each other. We do not. We work together and we work individually, and we have our own perspectives on the same thing sometimes, and it's all valuable. So with that being said, if there is nothing else that I can add to tonight's live, we can end here. Yolanda's going to be adding all kinds of other really cool extra things into the group, because after all, this is her thing. I taught it. I was super excited to learn it from her. and to teach it the way that I see it with all my weird measuring and whatnot that she makes fun of me for. But I totally love and admire the way that she's just so, oh, and then I do this and then I clip this and you know, I work completely differently. But again, same work, different ways of getting there. Same end, different way of getting there. And both ways are really good ways that you can use and mix and match and so on, and whichever one works best for you, go ahead and do it. This is how we work together for the greater good. No problem. And again, as always, if you have any questions that maybe come up later on while you're working on yours, if there's any information that you missed or that you don't understand, feel free to contact myself or Yolanda or make it known in the group, and we'll definitely respond to you as soon as we can. Awesome, awesome, awesome. No problem. You guys are going to do some awesome stuff. I've already seen some of what you all have been doing. And once this dries and I put her up, you know, we can all share what we learned. Because again, I learned this, even though I'm doing it different from what she showed me and what she told me, I still have to give credit to the fact that I wasn't even thinking of this. I'm over here panicking because the sewing machine just ain't working out for me. So we can all thank Yolanda Jordan for her crazy brain and how it works and maneuvers and finds solutions to problems. Y'all have a great Friday night. Thank y'all all so much for joining, and definitely make sure y'all share and show everybody how we are just killing it. And when I say we, I mean all of us. We're doing amazing things in the realm of doll making, specifically black and brown dolls, and we got to make sure that people see these things. So y'all have a great Friday night and a great weekend, and do the damn thing. Bye, y'all.
No matter how I felt when I was younger, like